Hello everyone, it's Melanie here with Vintage Hill Studio. I'm so glad you dropped by today. I'll be making an adorable little card with a tractor pulling a tree in a wagon. If you've been out to a tree farm, you know this is a common sight. So let's get started. This is a die from Momenta and it's so cute. This is another set of dies I'll be using, one branch out of this set. And these are the papers, just keeping it very simple to highlight and feature the tractor cutout. So to help me with that, I'll be using a Sizzix precision base plate, and I'll tell you more about that in just a few seconds. As you can see from the packaging here, it says it has intricate details, and this is true, which is what makes it such a beautiful die cut. You can see all of these intricate details. They're not kidding. So that is why I use this precision plate, and it is specifically for intricate dies. Now the plate itself shows you the sandwich, how to make that on one side there, and it tells you, a few details about why you want to use the precision plate. So I bring over my Big Shot die cutting machine right here. And again, looking at this sandwich, that's how I'm going to put this together to do my die cutting. And you also want to pay attention before you put this down. It says this is not the cutting side. So you want to flip this over. You can see I've done quite a bit of die cutting on this plate. Then I'm going to bring over a piece of black cardstock, put my die face down onto that cardstock, and one cutting plate on top. And I'll run that through just a few times back and forth, again, because this is a very intricate die with a lot of details. So you can see that I did that about 3 times, and watch how this just pops out. And then I'm just going to flick this with my finger, and you can see the pieces just come out so beautifully and easily. I hope you can see this die cut. There's a little bit of a closer up shot, and just look how beautiful that is. Now, for my sentiment, I don't always have every rubber stamp I need, so sometimes I make my own on the computer. And that's what I did. I printed that on cardstock. This is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. I have all supplies and dimensions listed on my card blog, so pop over there to visit with me. And also feel free to subscribe. So here is that sentiment. You can see I printed it out several times so that I don't waste a lot of my cardstock that goes through the printer there. And I'm going to keep this simple as well with just a couple of little oval dies. This one happens to fit perfectly over my sentiment, and then I'm going to back it with some black. So while I had my dies out, I went ahead and cut all the sentiments that I printed out, and I'll have those handy for other cards. I'm going to back that with a black oval, just like this. And that alone is pretty nice, but it was looking a little plain, which is where the Sizzix Greenery dies comes in handy. This is the Holiday Greens Minis, and I'm going to be using that little piece right here that looks like a pine branch. It's just gorgeous. Of course, that's got a lot of details too, so I will again use my precision cutting plate for that, and I'm going to cut 2 of these. And here's what they look at. Look at the laciness of this greenery. It's just beautiful. And that's going to add just a little pop of color there at the top corner of my card, since this is fairly plain and we're focusing on the silhouettes. And I decided to sandwich that between my sentiment, my printed sentiment, and that back black oval. I think that will look really nice. And then to give this plain sentiment oval a little spark, I'm going to use a couple of brads in silver. Now this is the Sizzix Secret Weapon Stamp Mat and Paper Piercer. One side is for stamping, to help you with rubber stamps and whatever. And this other side is if you're going to do any paper piercing, which I do here. I use my tool-in-one to give me a hole to start with, a little pilot hole for these brads. And then I simply stick that right through that hole that I pierced and open the brad up at the back. And I think that adds quite a bit to that plain little sentiment oval. Alright, now just to get this put together, I'm using liquid adhesive. This allows me to move it around just a bit when I get it put on the front of my card to where I like the positioning. So that's why I like to use liquid adhesive for this. And then I'm going to put a little bit on the back of these branches. You don't need a lot, I'll just add a few little dots of glue behind, and it doesn't matter if it shows on that black, because remember, we're going to be putting that sentiment oval over our black oval. So don't worry about glue. Usually you don't want your glue to show through on black because it really pops, but in this case it does not matter. Okay, now I think that adds just the right amount of color. It kind of goes with the theme of maybe being at a tree farm. We're going to add the sentiment oval with a little bit of foam tape on the back right over that black and pine bough layers, and that will do it for the sentiment up there in the corner. And I think that looks really great. Now to add the focal point of our tractor with the wagon and the Christmas tree. Now you can see why I chose rather plain paper for this card, because if your paper is too busy, your silhouette's going to just get lost in all the busyness. And that completes the card for today. I hope you enjoyed this, that you see that silhouettes, even though they're plain, they're very effective. It's just a gorgeous little card. Here you can see we've got a little bit of dimension, the inside and the back, a finished card. I hope you enjoyed this today, that you get inspired to give silhouettes a second glance, and that you will feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel or my card vlog. I post weekly videos, and I would love to have you come back and visit again. So glad you dropped by. Happy crafting, everyone.